Okay, I'm live on YouTube. Okay, let's get going with the live. I'm just going to introduce myself and then we'll get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board. You can look into the boot camp courses if you want to get one of those. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be coaching. And it's a big wait list for that, but I'm getting to it. I'll get there. And then you can listen to the podcast if you want. There is no wait list for that. We do 2 of them a week, every Tuesday and every Thursday. Is today Friday? Yeah, today's Friday. And anyway, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. We also have a series coming up. It's 7 podcasts in 7 days, and it's just all of our basic stuff. If you want to know about BratBusters and you've never seen the channel before, it's all the basic stuff. It goes into tantrums, toddlers, and we talk about all sorts of stuff. So it's all the simple stuff. Not simple. What's it called? What's that called? I can't remember. It's all the basics. What's the word? Oh, I can never remember that dumb word. Anyway, what's that called? It's all the basic stuff that you build off of. Anyway, whatever. I'll never think of it. Okay, Michigan. Hi, Terica. Alabama. Liza. Ecuador. Hello, Valentina. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. It's not all I do here. I like to talk about a lot of other stuff because most questions revolve around disciplining, and I'm not about discipline. I do it, but I'm about connecting with kids, right? Having fun with them, playing with them. Play is their love language, and with teenagers, it's still connecting, but it's not so much playing with them. But okay, so this is Allie. Hi, Lisa. I got my 21-month-old girl starting to hit my 1-year-old. I took away her favorite toy after she hit, but I'm not sure she's connecting it to the hitting. Also, I don't want to shame her. Okay, so you've got a 21-month-old hitting out. Okay, so you got to be fast. They don't connect it unless you're fast. As soon as she hits, you go no, and I might pick up the baby and soothe the baby. Maybe try that. Okay. So yeah, it's consistent corrective action, and I always say consistent corrective action with a toddler, 16 to 35 months, is taking the fun away from them or taking them away from the fun. You're actually taking the fun away because they were hitting the little baby. Now you've taken it away, and now you're soothing the baby. You're sending a message. So as soon as she hits her, try not to let her hit, but as soon as she does, go, oh, okay, oh, you're all right, and then sort of ignore her. She's not going to get it right away. It takes a while. Okay. Oops, I forgot my timer. If I don't put a timer on, I will forget. I just got my first Christmas tree in 10 years because my kids are grown, but now I got a grandchild. So, and I live in a downtown apartment. This is the box my Christmas tree came in. I just laughed when I saw it. It's tiny. It'll go on a table. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Oh, Ashley, where are you in Australia? That's where my kids were born and raised. My son was born in Sydney. My daughter was born in Brisbane. Was there for about 20 years. Okay. Okay, how to connect with a 4-year-old and really dive deep into independent play. So you want to connect with them, but then you want them playing on their own. That's kind of goes against it. So how do you connect? You play with them. Play is their love language. Whatever they're playing with, join in. Then if you want them to independent play, you can join in and then say, okay, so, and you can play with them for a while. And then you say, okay, I'm going to go. Don't say I'm leaving now. You say, I'm going to go do the dishes. It's sort of as saying what you're going to do rather than you're just taking yourself away. Okay, I got to go do the dishes. And then you get up and go do the dishes and they should independent play. That's the idea behind this. But yeah, there's probably more going on. If they won't independent play, do you not play enough? If you connect with your kids and you play enough with them, they're more likely to do independent play. It's not the other way around. Yeah. That's a simple answer. It might not help you, to be honest. I'm guessing there's other stuff going on. And their love language is play and fun. If you're not connected with them, like playing with them, none of this works. Okay. The connection is the base for everything. Sorry, just trying to tighten up my phone there. No one laughed at my Christmas tree. I think it's hilarious. Wait till I put it up. Fundamentals. Yeah, that is the word. Oh, it's pillar content is more of an online salesy way of talking about it. Pillar content, but you're right. It's the fundamentals. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Thank you for that. The fundamentals. Such a fancy word. Okay. That's why I didn't think of it. I'm not fancy. Okay, foundations, fundament. Yeah, I like the fundamentals. Both of those. It's the foundations for all this. Absolutely. Very good. Thank you. You guys make me sound smarter because I wouldn't have come up with that. But in future, I'll be saying it and I'll sound smart. Okay. I'm afraid to bring my baby out in public because the tantrum. She's 15 months old. I don't know what to do. Yeah, if they start having a tantrum, make sure you've got a stroller to put her in. So as soon as if you're walking with her and she starts screaming and having a fit, just put her in the stroller and just push her along and just ignore her. You want to ignore those tantrums or redirect. She's 15 months. I would redirect them. Put her in the stroller. Give her something to play with. You might say, oh, what's over there? What's that? Something else I did with kids, because I've worked with a lot of kids, is I'd go, wow, what's that? And I looked like I was fascinated by something. And it would just be something simple. Like I'd go, wow, what's this? And I'm not really talking to them, but I'm right nearby. Wow, what's this? And you're holding it so they can't see it. Wow, that's really neat. Oh, I wouldn't know. Wow. And then when they start to calm down, show an interest, then you show it. It's just a sponge. It can be anything. So yeah, you want to redirect the energy, basically. So the energy is they're having a fit. So you kind of want to stay completely calm and look like you're really interested in something. Ooh, what's this here? Ooh. It's indirect redirection. You're not saying, look at this, but you're doing it on your own. And then if you try talking to them or looking at them while they're having a tantrum, it's going to make it worse. Usually. Okay, you said you have a 3-year-old who likes to throw things. Just put down on the behavior board, no throwing things. And then you can explain. You don't have to put it on the board, but say, it's okay if you throw a ball outside and we're playing ball, but not inside. So yeah, just say no throwing things. That's the rule. Get the free behavior board. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. It'll teach you how to get started with all this. Would I still have access to the boot camp course after? Yeah, absolutely. Some people won't mark it as finished because there's sections. I've never done it, but I know there's sections that you can. My daughter knows all that stuff. You can mark it off when you've completed a section. You still have access to it. It actually shows us who's completing the course and who isn't. But a lot of people don't want to do that because they think they might lose access. But I have lots of clients who hire me for coaching and they've got the course and they say they use it for backup or for just sort of reference material because it has all the foundations on it. Couldn't wait to use that word. All the fundamentals. Okay. Oh, no. Such a good question, though. No one's ever asked me this. Do you ever try to teach ways of calming down through play so they have an idea how to self-regulate during a tantrum? Absolutely not. Because during a tantrum, no, I just don't. I don't try and teach them how to self-regulate. It happens organically by not working. When a tantrum doesn't work, they stop doing it. That's how you teach them. You don't teach them how to do it. They teach themselves. That's self-regulating. You're trying to regulate them. Yeah. No, I don't do that at all. I know where you're coming from and it sounds lovely, but I would never do that. No. It's too therapy session. It's not my style at all. No, they learn that they lean into what does work and they lean away from what doesn't work. If a tantrum never works, they lean away from it and then they use alternative methods to deal with anger, or they don't tend to even get angry because they know they've got someone they can talk to about anything, right? That's what leadership does. Okay. Oh, you said my 4-year-old physical behavior spikes when he is sick. Yeah. Ignore all my methods when they're sick. When they're sick, you give them whatever they want. All rules go out the window. Yep. If they're sick, you meet their needs. You always meet their needs first and manage their wants. The discipline is about the wants, not the needs. If they're sick, they need comforting, they need warmth, they need medicine, whatever it is, right? So you treat the sickness, not the behavior. And then you go, when they're healthy again, you go right back to normal. They can adjust to that. Parents don't, but kids can. Okay, I got a question for you. You said my 21-month-old has started putting a small plastic toy bag on her head. Why on earth does she have access to that? That's my question. I wouldn't allow her to have anything like that. I didn't even read the rest because that's just my gut reaction. Okay, you got to put the age down, Kristen. I need an age for that one, okay? And I say you ignore the tantrum, but you don't necessarily ignore the actions. I've never said that before. If they're getting violent, you can physically restrain them or protect yourself or protect another kid. You still don't look at them or talk to them. You completely ignore a tantrum. But you might have to address the actions to keep them safe, other people safe, property safe, your pants safe. Can you give me one thing to help my teen through these difficult years? Oh, no. There's not one thing, but I'll read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. That's my favorite age. I started my business coaching teen crisis work. So yeah, I love teenagers. They're my favorite age. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Back and forth, reciprocity, mutual respect. Number 3 with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. Just like you did, just like you do. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times with a teenager. Parents will then say, when do we discuss the bad times? Never. What's the point? Never. You never discuss bad times. You deal with bad behavior, but you never discuss the bad times. What's the point? Number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy with a teenager. You can't be both. They will die on any hill. Even if they know they're wrong, they're going to keep arguing. Okay? And don't you do the same. And also, you often think you're right and you're often wrong. When I'm working with parents of teenagers, and we've been working for like a few weeks or so, or sometimes, you know, it can go on for quite a long time. I never meet kids and I never even meet teenagers, but often the teenager will say to their parents, because the parents will do something like a discipline, and the teenager will say, can you ask that woman you're working with if she thinks that was fair? And then the parents will come on the next session and say to me, can you believe they asked that? And I go, actually, yeah, I agree with them, not you. Parents often think they're right when they're wrong. So, and when a teenager asks that to check with me, they're always right. It's amazing. They get it. They just get this just by the stuff I teach their parents to do. You got to give respect to get it. Once you do, everything's easier, way easier. But you don't expect to get it until you've given it. You got to give, get, give, get. And then it evens out a bit more. But initially, it's a lot of give. Okay. Good question. And my answer is going to be a bit roundabout. My 5-year-old is in school, kindergarten, and just picking up bad behaviors. And we are breaking them fairly quickly, but how can we stop the monkey see, monkey do? When you're a leader at that age, that doesn't happen. If you're not a leader, they're very impressionable. They're very vulnerable and susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, whatever. They're very impressionable. When you're a leader at home, they're not impressionable. So work on your leadership. Everyone wants to fix kids. That's not what we do. We fix and teach parents here, okay? You set yourself up as a calm leader, and they're not going to be picking up bad behaviors. Not at that age, not at 5. No, they know right from wrong. You know, parents relinquish their power so easily. I find that amazing. You have so much more power than you realize. Between the ages of 3 and 12, all their behavior, 99% of it, is a direct result of your parenting. You just don't know that. I'm telling you that, though. Yeah, you have so much more power than you realize. And it's all done through giving respect to get it. It's all done through leadership, not sternness, not authority. It's not like that. That's why you're on the behavior board. It's give and take, right? I'm halfway through the course, but I'm finding myself handling things much better by just deciding not to be on my phone and spending time with the kids and no distractions whatsoever. Thank you for all your help. Well, you don't even need the course if that's all it took. Good for you. Obviously, I'm not in marketing. Yeah, a lot of parents are on their phones and they're playing with their kids. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Kids are not stupid. Even little toddlers, they know when you're not there with them. They know, and it affects them. It hurts their feelings. Imagine if you went out for dinner with your spouse and they sat on their phone. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, okay. You see, it's the same feeling, but they can't articulate it. I'm articulating it for them. So good for you. You picked up on that and you put your phone down. Good for you. No, I don't discuss medication. Oh, just turned 3. Now I have to go back and read it now. I should have said put the whole comment in there. I can't remember your question. I'm going back looking for it. Oh, there we go. This is a 3-year-old. I know you say to ignore tantrums, but mine doesn't simply flop down on the floor and kick their feet. She literally ripped my pants off today. Oh yeah, I already answered that. She's 3. Yeah, I would sort of do that. But yeah, 3. They are at 3 is a fork in the road. 3 is when they stop and think and they start to assess basically the dynamics of the house. They either get better or they get worse. Okay, if you're a leader, they get better. If you're not, they get worse. They pick up on your lack of leadership or your leadership. And they just relax into it. It's not that they're obedient soldiers. It's just that, oh, well, parents know what they're doing, so why would I act out? Plus, they tend to have higher self-esteem when they've got leaders as parents. They just do. I remember my dad was a pleaser. My mom was the leader. And I remember I didn't like myself as much with my dad. I adored my father, but he spoiled me. And he used to call me his little sweetie pie. I was adopted. It was later in life, so he spoiled me. But my mom, she was more savvy with all that, and she got mad at him for spoiling me. And I can remember the way I talked to my dad sometimes. I didn't like myself. I was pushy with him. Dad, I want that. Can you get that for me? Sure, sweetie pie. You can have anything you want. Then he learned. I guess mom had talked to him. I remember the first time this ever happened, I was probably about 4 or something. And I said, Dad, can I have that? And he said, sure, sweetie pie. You can have whatever you want. And then he said, oh, let's go check with mom first. And I went, oh, never mind. Mom would have said, she can't have that, Phil. Don't give her everything she asked for. So and I like the fact that she did that. I didn't like myself as much with my dad. He let me get away with more. I felt like I was a better person when I was with my mom. She was the leader. So think about it. It's their self-esteem that's affected. If you're always giving in and spoiling them, their self-esteem's in the toilet. Don't do that. I had my mom to balance my dad out. And then he learned. He checked with mom. Okay. My daughter, 14, drank some of our alcohol. Would you have different consequences for something like this as opposed to task? Okay, I can't really get into that because it's illegal for a 14-year-old to be drinking alcohol. That would be coaching. Okay, sorry about that, but I can't really discuss that because it's against the law. It puts me in a bit of an awkward position. But without coaching, I would just go to the behavior board and I would put down, what would I put on there for that? I don't want to put alcohol on the board. No, she's 14. I would probably say, that's what I would say. I'd say, sweetie, this is outside of coaching, by the way. I'm keeping this general, okay? Because I don't know your family situation. It would be more sort of more targeted if I knew you. But generally, I would just say, there's got to be a consequence for you drinking alcohol. There has to be. So, what do you think is a good consequence for that? Ask her. See what she says. So, and then work something out, negotiate it between the two of you. But that's how I talk. You see, there's no judgment, no disappointment, no frustration, no anger. You just talk like, well, there's got to be a consequence, right? So we got any ideas? What do you think we should do here? Bring her in on it. Negotiate. That's my general answer. Okay. You heard my alarm go a second ago. So I've got to move over to Instagram because I've got stuff to do tonight. So I'm moving over to Instagram if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. Or you can get, sorry, my mind's distracted for a second here. Or you can look into coaching. That's one-on-one with me. There's a big wait list, but I'll get to eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast, BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And it's also saved on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. She's a partner in the business and she does all the marketing, all the planning. I'm the product, but she's the person who pushes it. And if you talk to anyone online, she doesn't have time for comments at all, I don't think. And she doesn't have time for a lot of DMs either. So the only way to get a hold of us, go to the website and there's an email on there if you want to get a hold of us. Or if you want coaching, it's all on the website. But yeah, she does all the marketing and all the planning. So anyway, okay, I'm heading over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. Happy parenting. Come on, Instagram. Oh, it's not. There we go. Okay. Very slow to respond. Okay, 15 minutes on Instagram. Got to set the timer or else I just get going. You got to put the age down. So this is LEDA June, Lita June. Put the age down, and then I can answer that. And I'll answer it after I introduce myself on here. I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up on Instagram. They turn up pretty quick all together on here, so we don't have to wait for long. Okay, give it 1 minute. Hello, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up here. Oh, and I never let anyone in on the live ever. I only did it once in 3 years, and I just started doing lives, and I won't do it again. You've probably heard me tell the story. It didn't go well. And I didn't know how to get rid of the person. They just wanted my audience. Okay, 7. Okay. Anyway, I'll just introduce myself on here. And my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can check out my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids, or you can hire me for coaching if you want. I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. And what else? Oh, I always get sidetracked. I can't hear myself talk anymore because I say this so many times and then my mind wanders. And I wonder, am I actually saying anything anymore? You know how you say something so many times, you lost the meaning of the word. Anyway. Okay, you can listen to our podcast if you want. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. And we're just finishing up. It'll be released soon. It's a seven podcasts in 7 days. And it has all of the fundamentals. Someone on Facebook just fed me that word because I couldn't think of it. It's just the reason why we did that. It's 7 podcasts in 7 days, and it'll be a series, and it's just the fundamentals of calm leadership parenting, which is what I teach. I invented all this stuff. Evidently, there's other people out there teaching my methods and not giving me credit for it. And I want to make it very clear. I haven't trained anyone else on this, so if they're giving you bad advice, not me. Okay. Okay. So let's get going with your questions. There's someone on YouTube, and I want to read this out. 7-year-old, how do you stop her from constantly, or a boy or a girl, I don't know. How do you stop them from constantly asking for the same thing over and over? You say no once, and then when they ask again, you say, I already said no. I won't be answering that again. And then you shut it down. No matter what. Can I have that? Can I have that? As soon as they finish that, you just say, oh, what a beautiful day out. You control the narrative. You control the conversation. Don't let them do it. Don't let them snowball you. Roll over you. What's that called? Oh, geez, what's wrong with me? Anyway, I'm getting all my sayings mixed up. Anyway, yeah, he's trying to control you. Don't let that happen. You already said no once. Then you said, I already said no, and I won't be answering you again. That's it. Do not discuss it again. You can talk about anything else. You control the narrative, though. Control the energy, control the narrative. Yeah, they're just trying to yets you. And that's a learned behavior, especially at 7. You've taught them to do that. It must either bother you or you eventually give in. One of the two, guaranteed. It's a learned behavior. They don't come out of the womb doing that. Okay. Okay, so you got twins, 2-year-old boys, and they're throwing stuff. One will throw it, and then the other one will throw it. I would just put all the toys away and get an activity going. I'd say no. I'd take all the toys away, and then I might just go in the recycling bin and get a bunch of old paper towel holders or something, tape them all together, and run, cars through there or something. Just make a craft, get something going. They might just be, need something new to look at. So you are doing consistent corrective action by taking those toys away, but then you're going and finding something else for them to do. There's 2 of them, 2 against 1. So yeah, a little bit different with multiples. I've worked with triplets and everything too. Okay, this is interesting. 2.5-year-old speaks very loudly, although reminded many times to speak slowly. They're not listening to you. What I would do is I go, ooh, too loud. And then I'd turn away. And then when they talk nicely, then I would say yes. They're not listening to what you're saying. They're watching what you're doing. So too loud hurts my ears. Look away. Look distracted by something else. When they do talk nice, you go, yes. You got to be fast so they connect it. Takes time, though. They're not going to learn probably the first week even if they're used to doing it. Thoughts on teaching kids how to lose? You want to raise good sports, not poor sports. Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on don't focus on the destination. Focus on the what's that called? Oh, what's wrong with me tonight? Focus on the journey, not the destination. What I mean is focus on the playing, not the winning or losing. My mom used to always talk to us kids like this. She always said, "You're such good sports." And I was little when she was saying that, and I never understood what the heck she was talking about. I thought, I'm not good at sports. What's she talking about? But what she meant was we played hard to win, but we never cared if we won, if that makes any sense. We play hard to win, but then we don't care if we win or lose. So she emphasized that. And she used to say, it's better to lose and play well than to win by luck. So yeah, she always emphasized the playing. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to give it your best, or just even have fun. If you don't feel like giving it your best, you don't always have to give everything your best. You can just have fun. Games are supposed to be fun. So yeah, she just didn't emphasize the winning or losing. But there was always a pot. We were always winning something. You know, even when I was a little kid, we were playing for toothpicks. It didn't have to be anything of any value. We just always had a pot, always something that we were playing for. Then she'd go, "Oh, you won the pot. Yay." But then if she won the pot, she'd go, "Oh, I won the pot." And then she'd always say, "You played that game so well." We never really discussed who won or lost. Unless when I got older, we'd laugh at it, lost again, but yeah, focus on the journey, not the destination. And poor sportsmanship is a learned behavior. It's one of those things, they've learned it somewhere. They don't come out of the womb with being poor sports. So it's something you've taught them to do. And one mom said, "Well, I didn't. I just said, well, good try, but you'll try harder next time." That's turning them into a poor sport. In other words, it wasn't fine the way you did it just now. So you try harder next time. Because in other words, you want to win. It's sort of, even that's an insult. That's teaching poor sportsmanship. But you'll just have to, that'll teach you to try harder next time. But good try, that's not good. You see, they were fine with the way they tried it. They don't need to win. By the way, you got to put ages down, and don't just ask a question, then scroll down and put the age. You got to put the whole question and the age in one comment, or else I won't see it. It has to be together. I've listened to you many times. Your mom spines like such an amazing woman. You're blessed. Yeah, she sounds. My mother was my idol, not just because she was my mom. I look back, I didn't realize this growing up, but how special she was. But everyone always told me. She was positive, always saw the glass half full, always. My dad died when I was 14, a long illness with cancer. And the day he died, we cried for 5, it was just my mom and I home. And we cried for 5 minutes. And this is my mom. She straightened up and she goes, "Weren't we lucky to have him all those years?" Like, that was my mother. She refused to wallow in the sad stuff. I know she cried alone in her bedroom at night. I know that. But, she never burdened anyone with her sadness or her problems. She was a very positive person, very warm and very funny. She was always interesting, just fun to be around. And growing up, I always felt heard and respected, always. Yeah, I always felt just valued. And I never felt like, she never set herself up to look like she knew more. And I didn't with my kids either. She never set herself up as an expert. She always set herself up as just human like me. Like, we're all trying to figure life out. But she was always there supporting me through problems, doing her best to, she always encouraged me to come up with my own solutions, but she kind of feed me ideas. But the thing that I always say about my mom, she was a very warm, everyone loved my mom. She was just, had a warmth about her. She had charisma, but in a good way, a warm way, not just the phony stuff, which I hate. But she was a joy-seeking missile. I would say that, a joy-seeking missile. She goes, if you're down, just fill up your calendar. She always, whenever I was down, something bad happened. She goes, sweetie, everything's temporary, the good and the bad. So it'll all come around in the end. Now, she was raised in Winnipeg, it's the coldest city in Canada, I believe, freezing. And they were starving and cold. She was raised in not with money. And so she had a really tough life. But she never complained, ever. So that's why I felt very lucky. She raised me, and I didn't get that. Like, I was more of a complainer, more of a right fighter. I wasn't as good as she was. She was just a really good person. But as I got older, I think more of her has come into me. I'm very much, I'm a very positive person. I don't like any arguing, or I just have anyone who was an arguer in my life or mean, they're all gone now. I got rid of all those people. I just want joy in my life. And my mom was like that. She just wanted joy. And that's what she gave me. She gave me the gift of gratitude. I'm very good at looking at my life and being grateful. So, and a lot of people don't have that. Even though they've got great lives, they don't have gratitude. So that's what she taught me. She was my best friend. She died in my arms at 93 years old, in my arms. Isn't that beautiful? And her very last breath was a laugh. Because I said to her, "You're right, Mom." Because on her deathbed, she always said, "We'll have nothing to say," because we said, "I love you" every day and all that. So on her deathbed, I said, "You're right, Mom. I've got nothing left to say." And then she did this laugh, and that was her last breath. What a beautiful way to go, eh? Amazing. Yeah, I was very lucky. Okay. Okay, how do I manage the behavior board if my 3-year-old spends half her time with her dad? We're divorced. Yeah, you just do what you do at home, and it's great if you can both get the same board going, but that often doesn't happen, right? Depends on how how you get along as a divorced couple. Also, I won't go into divorce because I've been there, but I always say you love your kids more than you hate each other. So we always made sure that we were always positive for the kids, and we managed to do that. But just worry about your home life. Don't worry about what happens outside of your home. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing. And they are more inclined to follow the leader. So there's a reason why that's a saying. People to follow a leader. We're all drawn to a good leader. So when you're a calm leader for your kids and you're fun, which is their love language is fun, then they're gonna really morph into your home life very quickly. Also, they will end up carrying your leadership umbrella everywhere they go. So they become more the person under you because their self-esteem is so high when they're with the leader. They feel at their best when they're with the leader. So they tend to turn into that. They're more likely to turn into that person that they are with you. You have more power for sure just by being a leader. They're just drawn to a leader. We all are. I get a lot of oh yeah, don't worry about that. If he's a pleaser and you're not, just do what you do, just do what you do at home. Don't worry about that. I get a lot of questions about discipline on here, which is fine because that's what everyone's dealing with. But the discipline is something that you're trying to fix what you made, except with toddlers and a little bit with teenagers too. But their bad behavior is a product of your parenting between 3 and 12. So you work on yourself. Remember, we're not fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. So I want you to look at it this way. Can you tell me how to be a better leader? Can you tell me what to do when my kid does this? So we're not really fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. So you lead, they will follow. Everyone wants to, fix their kids, but they're not broken. They're just following your lead or lack of it. That's all that's happening here. So I'm just scrolling. Okay. What's a good age for children to start preschool if you have a choice? I don't know because that's a different term everywhere. Like I know in Australia where I raised my kids, they went to kindy first at 3, preschool at 4, grade 1 at 5. But then in Sydney, like where I raised my kids in Queensland, but in New South Wales, which is where Sydney is, they start with preschool at 3, then kindy. Or when we lived there, that's the way it was done. So it's got a different term everywhere. I think it's good for them to go to school a couple days a week or a couple mornings a week at 3. I think it's good for them because that's when they can start learning to socialize. Before then, they play side by side. They don't tend to socialize. They play side by side with other kids. They might seemingly share a toy, but they're just waiting for their turn. They're not really socializing. But at 3, that's when the socializing starts, especially 3 years and 9 months. The socializing really starts to kick in. And also, a lot of parents, this is something that comes up a lot, and I'm sort of just talking about it more because I think you need to hear this. A lot of parents over-explain. They want their children to understand why they should or shouldn't do something. That's not how they learn. Those therapy sessions, all the lectures that you want to give them, that's not how they learn. They learn through watching you. They learn through consequences. So yeah, all this, the reason why I discuss bad behavior is I want them to never do it again. The more you discuss it, the more they're more likely to do it again. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. That's why I never discuss bad behavior. I deal with it and I move on. It's over. It's done. I don't discuss it again. Kids sometimes have tried to talk to me about it again. Like not my own kids because I had that all sorted out with them. But other kids, they'd say, well, what if I did that again? I'd say, it's all over. I'm not talking about it. They couldn't even pull me into a conversation about their bad behavior. What's the point? I focus on the good kid, the positive, and that's what you get. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. So quit explaining everything to your kids. Quit discussing the bad behavior and why they shouldn't do it. And have you learned your lesson? And you know better than that. All that patronizing stuff, useless. Absolutely useless. It's the consequences that teach us all lessons. It's like if you got pulled over for speeding and he just lectured you. I'd keep speeding, wouldn't you? Yeah. But it's the ticket that does it, right? Right? It's the consequences. They don't talk about it. They just hand you a ticket, say, drive carefully, have a nice day, and off you go. That's how I handle parenting. Drive carefully and off you go. See what I mean? It's the pool story. Check out the pool story. That explains all this really well. You can just Google BratBusters pool story. I've got tons of videos on it. I just can't tell it again. I've told it so many times. But it explains how you deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. And at the end of that story, too, I say, once the kid has sat with me because he did something naughty, then I got him to sit with me for 10 minutes. And then when it was over, I didn't say, and then I said, okay, go back in the pool and have fun. I did not say, do that, don't do that again. That would have erased all the good 10 minutes I just formed with this kid. Don't remind him. Don't say, by the way, don't forget not to be rotten. That's what you're saying. Remember, oh, don't forget you were rotten. Don't forget you were bad. Don't forget that. I don't want you to forget that. That's what you're doing whenever you discuss bad behavior. Deal with it, have a consequence, then drop it. Yeah, don't forget you're bad. I just want to remind you again. Remember you're bad. Remember that. You see, that's what it's doing. That's all it's doing. Oh, you got all in caps there. Someone wants me to read this. So what do you do when you discipline your kid? And he says, why don't other parents discipline their kids? Why me? And my son asked me that once, only once. And I said, I'm your mom. I'm not his mom. He never asked again. Because he knew when I said that, like, I'm your mom. I'm not his mom. That was it. I don't explain myself. That's all I did. That's all I said. I'm not going to explain myself. The more you explain, the more they complain. I remember his face too when I said that. He just smiled. He thought, well, that didn't work. How come I can't do that and all my friends get to do it? And I said, well, I'm not their mom. I'm your mom. And he just went, okay. That didn't work. Okay. My toddler's 2. Can I pick her up in the middle of a tantrum? Nope. She's trying to get your attention, and she figures that's the way to get it because you probably feel like that's love. It's not love. It's, come on, get into this tantrum. Enter it. Enter it. She's asking for validation. She wants attention during a tantrum. I don't give it. Yeah, that's not a love hug. That's not a love cuddle. That is a validate my tantrum. And it's control. She's controlling you. She's only 2, but that's what she's doing. She's all of a sudden, she's in control. If you pick her up, she's screaming, cuddle, cuddle, cuddle. You pick her up, she's in control. And she knows it too. They pick up on that. Yeah, just let it go. As soon as she's done, she's in a tantrum hangover. And she's like that. Say, do you want to go read a book? Cuddle, cuddle. I don't cuddle during the tantrum hangover either because they're still kind of in that zone, right? So I say, I'll pat them on the back. You're all right. Let's go read a book. You see? It's all light and airy. Then we sit and read a book. If she wants to crawl into my lap and cuddle, that's fine. But I'm not picking her up and cuddling. I'm not soothing her. Poor tantrum, poor tantrum. Now you're validating the tantrum. When do you explain then? Don't they already know? This is the thing, is that parents will often tell me in session number 1 how gifted their child is. And then when I go on my little spiel about why you don't discuss bad behavior, then they'll say, but he doesn't understand. And I said, in session 3, he's a moron, but in session 1, he was brilliant, he was gifted. Like, come on. They already know. Past the age of about 2.5 to 3, they know right from wrong. They understand that. Why do you need to explain it? I've never done it. I don't understand it. I have no concept of that. They know right from wrong. Well, you shouldn't hit because it hurts other people. But they already know. Yeah, they're not idiots. Don't treat them like that. Okay? So yeah, when do you explain to them? Unless they've got some disability, then I might explain. Yeah, but without that, no, they already know. And they know because they just got a consequence for it. So then now they know it's bad. They can figure it out. They can figure out hitting someone is bad. They can figure that out. Taking a toy away from someone's bad. Grabbing the remote that they know they're not allowed to have and turning on the TV. They know, right? Yeah, don't underestimate them. And, I think a lot of that is because, well, you don't understand them. That's why. You just don't get it because you can't. Otherwise, you wouldn't explain. If you think explaining and understanding is the problem, you're wrong. It's a lack of impulse control, and it's I want, I want, I want. It's not that they don't understand they shouldn't do it. It's just they're going to do it anyway, unless there's a consequence. That's the only thing that stops them from doing it. It's not understanding. They know right from wrong. That's not what stops them from doing bad stuff. It has nothing to do with it. If you think that explaining to a child why they shouldn't do something is going to fix anything, no. Unless it's something really bizarre that I can't even think of an example. And I'll often challenge people too. I'll say, well, you tell me what you think they didn't understand, and then we'll discuss it. And it's very hard for them to come up with something. Well, I told him not to hit his little sister, but he didn't know not to pull her hair. And I'm like, oh, bull. He knew, right? You see, that's the kind of stuff parents try and work me with. So yeah, no, he knew. He's 4. He knows. And we didn't tell him not to poke her in the eyes, so he didn't know. He knows. The way you raised your kids or teach others, were you raised this way? Not as much. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. My mom didn't have a silly bone in her body. She's very funny, but she wasn't silly. My dad was more the one to play with me, whereas I'm the silly one, for sure. And, but yeah, they let me get away with a bit more, for sure. I didn't. My dad let me get away with too much, and I didn't like myself as much as a result of that when I was around him. But my mom straightened me out. So, but yeah, he spoiled me a bit too much, and I didn't like that. I didn't respect myself because I took advantage of him when I was really young. And I look back on that and I assess all that. And then I started volunteering in daycare centers. I was always mothering everything from the time I was a toddler. And then I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. And I just figured out my own path, how I was going to do things. And it worked. I couldn't believe how well it worked. And I remember once when I was volunteering in this daycare center, I remember one of the ladies there said, how do you do that? These kids want to be around you, but they're good with you. Like they don't step a toe out of line. And I didn't know how to answer that, but I was a leader. I lead with fun. And I was a leader, and it just worked. So I think it was just instinctive, to be honest. My parents did let me get away with a lot more than I would let kids get away with. But yeah, not horribly, but one thing, I was very close to my mom. I told her everything right through the teen years. She didn't want to hear it all, but I just told my mom everything. And she was my best friend. She was a safe place to land. No judgment, no criticism. She was my best friend. So I had that, and that I was very close to my kids too. So we had that for sure. Very similar. You said, wish I'd watched this 6 months ago. Well, it's never too late. The hairstyle, I thank you. This is my gym. I was up, I don't know, 4:30 or something this morning. I go to the gym really early, and then today I went straight from the gym to pickleball, and then I came home and I had my first session at 9 a.m. So I had a very busy morning, and my hair has been like this all day. So I don't care how I look. I'm an active person, and I just dress for fitness, and I turn up looking like this on these sessions. You're not turning in because of the way I look. Said, so my boy wants to punish me for punishing him. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay. My 7-year-old twin throws and hits and kicks doors when we tell him no. We don't. Okay. Put on the behavior board, no violent behavior. Just put that down. That means hitting other people, kicking doors, whatever. Put that down. Every time he does, there's a consequence. But if he's got that much anger and he's physical, that's learned behavior. You've taught him how to do that. There must have been a payback. There must have been either you got really upset, which is a payoff for him. Either you got really upset, which means he doesn't respect you. And if they want you to get upset, they don't respect you. So work on yourself, right? So you figure the behavior board is teaching you how to be a leader. That's all that is. So every time he does do something violent, you say, let's go to the board. Now, let me see now. No violent behavior was your rule. And you kick the door. So here's your consequence. See how I'm talking about it? He can be as upset as he wants. I'm cool as a cucumber. All discipline is treated like a business transaction. Zero emotions. But connection is the most important thing with kids. And that's all emotions. You can be fun. You can be crazy. But when you're disciplining, it's just a business transaction. So see how it goes. I'm wondering why he's got such violent behavior at 7. Maybe you're not connected with him. Look at the connection happens on the behavior board through your consequence. So you're on the board too. So that's all on BratBusters.com. Anyway, I got to go. I'm moving over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. That's where I save all of my lives. If you're not going over to TikTok with me, just check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my bootcamp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. And if you want to hire me for coaching, that's one-on-one with me. It's all done online, so it doesn't matter where you live. I learned so much about different cultures because I coach people all over the world. Fascinating, because you get to know real personal stuff through coaching. And it's just fascinating what goes on in other countries that's so different from us, right? I love it. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, and the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save all of our podcasts on YouTube, which is if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I work together, and she does all the marketing and all that. So she puts them all on YouTube. Anyway, I'm hopping over to TikTok now, and happy parenting. Now my TikTok is just not going up at all. At its height, I think I was getting 10 to 30,000 new followers a day for months there. That happened about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And then it doesn't move. TikTok's really interesting. You have to get a really big video that spikes. And, but yeah, it's interesting. It hasn't moved at all recently. I just find it fascinating. I don't understand all that stuff. Doesn't matter. We've got almost 1 million on there, so it doesn't matter. But still, I'm just curious why they don't push us out unless we get a good video or something they like. And we refuse to give into that. We know what sells. We know what videos people want to see. But we've already put out tons of that. We have to mix it all up. We put out what we feel comfortable putting out. We're very, very careful about that. We're all organic. We don't collaborate with anyone. It's just a mother and daughter doing all this stuff. But we find social media fascinating. My daughter loves all that stuff, marketing. It's interesting. Okay, why is that not moving? I can't get your comments to move. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to introduce myself before we get going. How many people are here? I'll just give it another few seconds here. I showed this on Facebook, I think. I haven't had a Christmas tree in 10 years because my kids are grown and we often go out for Christmas and that. Anyway, I bought a Christmas tree. It just arrived. Look at the box that came in. It's just a tabletop Christmas tree because I got a granddaughter now, so I figured I should have a Christmas tree. I laughed. As soon as I saw the box, I cracked up. Because we had a place where it had a vaulted ceiling, like 8-foot high ceiling, and I bought a 12-foot live Christmas tree. What you don't think about when you buy a really big tree is how wide it is at the bottom. It was pretty good. It was like an expensive tree. You pay for one that's more formed like that. But you couldn't get anything on the top because it was so far out with the ladder. But 12-foot tree, and now I've got this 3-foot tree. Okay, you love the little tree. Yeah, I'll show it when it's all decorated. It'll be cute. Okay. Okay, so did I introduce myself already? Did I? I feel like I did. I keep forgetting because I do it 6 times. Because I do it on Facebook, in and out, TikTok or Instagram and TikTok in at the start and the end. Did I introduce myself already? Hope I did. Can anyone remember? I'll wait till you tell me because I don't want to repeat it all if I've already done it. I think I did. Anyway, I don't know if I introduced myself. Just go to my website if you want to know about courses and all that stuff. It's on No, I didn't. Oh, I didn't. Okay, thank you. Okay, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, it's all done online, so you can live anywhere. And it's a big wait list for that I will get to eventually. Or you can listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save our podcast on YouTube if you want to watch us. My daughter and I work together. We're business partners. I'm the product, and she's the one who does all the back end planning and marketing. So it works very, very, very well together. We're very lucky. We're best friends. She's 31 now, or she'll be 31 in a week. And but yeah, we're very lucky. Imagine doing a job that you love, which I love talking to parents, and then your daughter comes on full time. She left her corporate job to come work with me full time a year ago. So yeah, imagine that, eh? Working with your kids. Okay, my dream is to get my son in here. He's very busy. He loves what he does, but I would love to get the whole family in on this business one day. That would be a dream. Okay, anyway, I can dream. Okay, so let's get going with because enough about me. Okay, as a grandma now, will you let your grandkids get away with more? Okay. Your job as a grandparent is to love your grandkids, care for them if you want a daycare or whatever sometimes too, but also they're not your kids. So you respect the parents and you follow what they're doing. That's sort of the way it goes. So yeah, I'm very aware. I mean, I do have her one day a week at least. And so like all day. She's 22 months old, but I'm very aware. Whenever I've got her, I'm very aware that she's not my kid. And I would never do anything that maybe they wouldn't do, or they, but I probably do spoil her a little bit more. I can't seem to turn up without some little stickers or something. I always have something with me that I bring along. So I probably spoil her a little bit more. But overall, no, I'm very respectful of the fact they're doing a great job parenting, and I want to make sure I support them. That's the way I view it. Not my kid. I never give advice. None of my business. It's not my kid. They're doing a great job anyway. And yeah, I'm just there to support them. That's the way I look at it. And love her to death. Oh, she did something really cute the other day. I was getting her shoes on or trying to get mittens on her. And then I took the mittens off because she didn't want them on, of course. They never do. And then I said, oh, good job. And she goes, and I said, take them off. And she goes, oh, all done. Then she goes like this. Now. It's exactly what I say, because now we're going to get our shoes on. So she's 22 months old now. Just like that. Okay, enough grandparent stories. Okay. How do you react to a kid? Oh, I don't know how old they are. You always have to put an age, but I'm going to read this anyway, and you'll kind of understand why. How do you react to a kid hitting mom, not wanting to get vaccinated, and they won't listen? If they're scared of getting a needle, I would not have a consequence for that hit. I just wouldn't. They're scared. Okay. They're in a doctor's office trying to get a needle in. They're hitting you. They're flailing around. I would just hold them down as best I could. Torture holding your kid down to get a needle. I just found it. I thought I was abusing my kids, but I did it. Vaccinations, right? Not saying they're good or bad. I just chose to have them done with my kids. And, but yeah, I would not punish for that. Nope. I just wouldn't. They're scared. I don't blame them. Actually, I can watch a needle go right into me. I have no problem, but I can't watch it go into my kids at all. Well, you asked a question, but there's no context. You said what to do when a 3-year-old wants other kids' toys and things. There's no context. Are they just asking for it, or are they grabbing it off other kids? So I don't know what you mean. Oh, that's really sweet, Lauren. Thanks. This strikes me as so funny. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but it's just so funny. I get recognized all the time, right? When I'm out in public. So I have to pretend I'm nice when I'm out. So anyway, but every so often someone wants to take a picture of me with them or their kids. I find that really awkward. I'm just like, why would you want a picture of an old lady? Just I just find that really awkward. I'm trying to be gracious about it, but I'm like, why the heck would you want a picture of them? I just find that really weird. It's just because I feel that you feel connected with someone who's in the caring field and they're trying to help you out. You know, I can kind of get that, but I just don't get the picture part. Okay, my toddler says sorry a lot. Yeah, they think that's a get out of jail free card. I said I was sorry, you know. Yeah, but I tell this story sometimes, and it's a good message in here. But this guy, it was driving, and I had my dog out. It was a couple of years ago, and me and my little dog, little old dog, and he pulled out of the alley where I live. This guy I'm driving, and then he changed, and I started walking with my dog behind him. But he changed his mind fast, so fast that when he put his car in reverse and backed up, it screeched a little, like he just changed his mind. He wanted to go back in the alley. He almost ran over my little dog. I had to yank thank God it had a harness on, not just a collar. I had to yank my poor little old dog, and he yelped when I did it, out of the way, or he would have been flattened, and it almost hit me because I stayed to get my dog away, right? So this guy, when he realized I was there, because he would have run over us, and he stopped when he saw us, he turned pure white, the driver, and his wife was horrified. And I said, and I was like, my voice goes up when I get upset. I get all screechy. You almost did us. You almost killed my dog. And he goes, I'm so sorry. And I said, yeah, but you just backed up. And he goes, I said I was sorry. And I said to him, I said, you know, the words I'm sorry don't make up for what you just put me through. I'm allowed to vent and tell you how you made me feel. And you know what he did? He went like this. You're right. Go ahead. And I just vented. Then I felt kind of awkward venting after that. But I thought, wow, maybe he learned something after that little exchange. The words I'm sorry are so overused, and they're just like, it's a get out of jail free card. I'm allowed to vent. He almost killed my dog, and me could have run me over too. I'm allowed to vent, right? Anyway, I don't think he'll be doing that again, I'll tell you. You can see it scared him. So anyway, but yeah, the words I'm sorry are just so overused. I can't stand them. There's 4 steps this is for adults. There's 4 steps to a proper apology. If you do something wrong, you start the ball rolling by saying, I'm sorry, but that's just the start. If someone just says, I'm sorry to me, I'm like, and come on, what else? Then you say it was all my fault. So you don't say it was all my fault, but if you hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have yelled. You see what I mean? So you say, I'm sorry, take full responsibility. It was all my fault. The 3rd step is, what can I do to make it up to you? How about I just take you out for coffee, or how about I treat you to dinner tonight, or what, you know what I mean? Like, make amends. Do something to show you actually feel bad about it. The 4th step is don't keep doing it. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, none of that meant anything. You haven't learned a thing. If you really respect the person you say you're sorry to, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Okay, toddler will not stay in room for nap or bedtime. Bedtime is different. Naps I don't force on kids. Both my kids stopped napping at around 12 months old. They still had accidental naps, but they didn't have regular naps after 12 months old. They just didn't need it. And they were pretty easy kids. They just didn't need a nap. So with nap time, I don't apply this. But with bedtime at night, I would apply this. So if they keep getting out of bed, the first time they get out, you say, I said it's bedtime, stay in bed. The second time they get out, you say one word, bedtime. Every time after that, you just walk them back. Don't say anything. Don't talk to them. Don't look at them. You just walk them back to bed or carry them kicking and screaming. Only one body part has to touch that mattress. Don't stand in their room. Don't stand over their bed. You leave the room. You want them to come out and run. You want them to wear off some of this energy. The whole idea is that you're going to win this battle, and that's what it is. It's a battle. It's usually one night of help. It's often only one night. But I wouldn't do that with nap time, because they might not need, maybe they're just not. Yeah, and you'll say, but they are tired. They do need it. I don't do that with nap time. Okay. If they're not staying in bed for nap time, I'd probably just say, okay, quiet time. Here's a book. I would have a quiet corner or something. Get a little tent, put them up and say, here's your quiet time. Put a timer on so they can see it. So when the bell goes, they'll know that it's over. So. I fear I've been using the wrong methods. Is it too late at age 3 to change? My God, I specialize in teenagers. If it's not too late at 16 or 17, it's not too late at 3. It's never too late. Remember, you're not changing the kids. They will change as a result of your parenting, but you're really changing yourself. Don't worry about the kids' behavior. It'll follow. You lead, I teach you how to be a leader. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers. Well, toddlers are a little bit different because they're kind of wild and crazy anyway. But I've always managed to get respect with kids. Troubled teenagers, violent 8-year-olds, whatever. I've always managed to get respect because I'm a leader. I don't try and get respect because of, like, I don't work the other way. I don't try and fix them. I come in as a leader. Now, when I was working with kids, if a kid acted out under my care, I always thought this way. I thought, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? I never blame the kid because you can't change them anyway. You can only change yourself. So why on earth would you blame a kid for their bad behavior? I think, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? You lead, they will follow. It's like a mentor. That's the way I look at it. Like I looked up to my mom. I know my kids looked up to me. It's just someone that you trust and you tell everything to. You don't act out or you're not rude to that person, right? Doesn't make any sense. Like, have you ever had a coach or a teacher or a grandparent that you look up to, like a mentor? Would you ever be rude to them? Would you ever hit them or swear at them? Or no, of course not. Why not? Because you look up to them, right? That's what I teach here. It's leadership. But you give respect to get it. That's why they usually give you respect. That's why you look up to them. It's not like it's one way. You don't want obedient soldiers here. That's not what we're after at all. We're after kids who are independent, have self-discipline, they have pride, and they like themselves. High self-esteem. And really, my goal with business is that you raise nice, happy kids. Yeah, but that's number 2. My first goal is that I want you to enjoy your family. I want happy families. I want you and your kids to enjoy each other. I want you to have fun together. Get all that pesky discipline sorted out, and then you can just relax and have fun with your kids. That was what I did. And that's what I want everyone to do. I loved it. It was wonderful. It was the most fun time my whole life, was raising my 2 gorgeous kids. Loved it. And now I've got a granddaughter, and I love that too. I'm not raising her. She's got parents, but I have her one day a week. Absolutely love it. It's the highlight of my week. It's that precious little girl. Oh, love it. But she's not mine. It's different from parenting. I'm there to support the parents. Let's say they were doing something that I didn't agree with. Let's say they were. They're not. They're fantastic parents. But let's say they were doing something I didn't agree with. I would shut my mouth and I would support them. None of my business, right? I'm there to support them. Yeah. I teach parenting, but only in my business. And who's to say I'm right? I only teach what worked for me and what I've done with hundreds of kids I've worked with. Doesn't mean it's the only way. Let's say they had a different way that they were doing. Let's say it worked better or not as good. None of my business. It's not my kid. It's my granddaughter. It's their kid, right? As a grandparent, my role was to support the parents and, of course, treasure that little kid, right? That's it. I'm crying right now. I feel like I've lost connection with my 11-year-old son. Check out the boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It might help, or just listen to the podcast. You always, okay, you got a tween. A tween or a preteen is 9 to 12 years old. And the way that you connect with them is not talking about the bad times. You don't talk about what you want. You just sit beside them and you just show an interest in what they're doing. That's how you connect. And you don't use that connection to then discuss the bad times or to talk all sappy and say, oh, this is so wonderful. I can't, we haven't done this in years. Ugh, that would make them puke, right? 11-year-old boy, ugh, they would hate that. So to be playing a video game, just sit down beside him and ask him questions about what he's playing. But don't get too pushy about it. Just be there. Be there. When I was working with kids, especially troubled teenagers, if they started, I could tell they were getting agitated. So I would just put my hand on their arm and I'd just say, I'm right here. I'm right here. Like that was my way of saying, calm down, but I would never say that. But yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here. And it sort of settled them. So it's just your presence is more important than what you say sometimes, right? So cut back on the words and just show interest in what he's doing. And I'll tell you a funny story. My son was 15 and every single morning, I would come out into the kitchen. He'd be there first usually. So he's in the kitchen and his back was to me and he'd be at the sink, right? And so I go, morning, sweetie, how are you doing? And he'd always, turn around, morning, mom. His voice hadn't quite changed yet. Morning, mom. And I'll never forget this. One morning I came downstairs and he was in the kitchen just as usual. And his body language looked different. He just looked different from the back. And I said, morning, sweetie. And he turned around and he went, morning, mom. It was like he turned into a man overnight. It was bizarre. And and I could feel he wasn't pulling away from me so much, but he wasn't my girlfriend anymore. We would giggle all the time. We were like girlfriends. And I was losing that. And I thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? So I remember one day saying to him, what's going on? We don't giggle as much. And he goes, Mom, he said, I'm trying to turn into a man. He says, you can't become a man when your best friend is your mommy. He wasn't my girlfriend anymore. He was my son, but you know what I mean? So I was devastated. I was losing this girlfriend of mine. Like, that's so stupid. Anyway, so I thought, how do I connect with him? Because, he wasn't as interested in stuff I was talking about anymore. He loved gaming. He loved heavy metal music. He had his friends. They start to get their own world going, right? And I wasn't a part of his world. So I thought, how do I get in there? How do I, somehow get in there without overstepping? So I thought, I know what I'll do. He was downstairs in the rec room playing on the PlayStation. So I just went down there with a magazine. I sat down beside him. I call it being furniture. And I just sat beside him looking through a magazine. And every so often I'd look up, I might make a comment. And as time went on, we ended up playing games together. Not every time. I didn't overstep. But then I was lousy at them. Anyway, he had this one game that was a racing game. I was horrible. He was genuinely trying to help me. I couldn't do it. I always ended up, hitting someone or going off a cliff or ending up upside down, whatever. Horrible at these racing games. So anyway, he said, I got to go to the bathroom. So while he's in the bathroom, I have my controller and I am killing it. I did the track perfectly. I couldn't believe it. He missed it. I did the track absolutely perfectly. He comes back in the room and I said, oh, babe, I said, you missed it. I just did perfect. And he was looking at me like I'm nuts. And he goes, I said, what? And he goes, Mom, that was my replay. I thought I was doing it. Anyway, so we ended up connecting over me being stupid, basically. And I didn't overstep. I just thought I'm going to enter his world, wait till I'm invited. I didn't sit down and say, can I play? He'd usually say, hey, do you want to play a game? I'd say, sure. We ended up playing a lot of Guitar Hero because I could actually sort of do that. And we both loved music. Another thing was that, how you're sort of set in your ways with your music and that? I'm not like that. I've got that, what's that called? Open learning mindset, not that closed one. What's that called? Open. I'm very open, not closed. So I always like new stuff. I'm always trying to keep my mind open. Anyway, so growth mindset, that's what it's called. I've got a growth mindset. So anyway, I thought, well, he loves this heavy metal music, which I really didn't get. I didn't like. I'd never heard it before, really. So I said, look, are there any songs you think I might like? I want to sort of, get in. I just want to understand why you like this. And he goes, sure. And they tend to be more inclined to get interested in you when you show an interest in their world, right? You connect in their world, right? So he ended up finding some songs. I ended up loving them. And I still to this day play a lot of Slipknot at the gym and a lot of NWA, which is, I can't say what that name is. If you know, you know. And but I only like their greatest hits album. I don't like their other stuff. It's it's just not for me. But he opened my mind to a whole, and now he still knows my taste in music more than anyone else does. We're connected sort of through music. And but yeah, and he's very open to me. He's got a very open mind. Like he'll listen to Frank Sinatra, NWA, anything country. He's very, he's very open-minded with that stuff. And I learned a lot from raising kids. If you're not learning and becoming a better person and more open-minded as a result of parenting, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Open your mind. They're fresh human beings. They've got new perspective on life. Might be better than yours, right? So yeah, keep an open mind. Respect their opinions. And the thing is, the more you respect them, the less likely they say or do anything that is disrespectful, right? Because they feel so respected. Sorry, but I have to get going. I got stuff to do. Duality, what's that? How does that fit into what I just said? How does that fit into? I'm going to look up the meaning of that word. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know how it fit in. I'm just going to look it up. I'm curious. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, and it's called BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. Look into my courses. Look into coaching. I got a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast, BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save them on YouTube. YouTube is nothing but podcasts and lives. That's all we put on there. But all the other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we put all the other videos on there. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And, it's a music group. I'll look it up. Duality. Music. Thanks for that. Okay. There you go. Something else to look up. See, I got an open mind. And I'm not saying it like, aren't I great? It's just that I've got a real curiosity thing going. I'm like a toddler. I'm very curious. I'm very toddler-like. And my daughter said, actually, you're not because you're mature. But she goes, you've got that sense of wonder. And kids, that's why I like kids so much. They have that. And we tend to lose that as we get older because we think we figured stuff out. We find what works and we tend to stick to it. I always think, yeah, this works okay, but is there something better? I'm always trying to learn. Anyway, thanks so much for Slipknot song. Oh, Duality. Oh, I should know that, shouldn't I? The one that's my favorite is Disastrous or Disaster Piece or whatever. I listen to that every morning at the gym, Disaster Piece. Without Me from Eminem is another one of my favorites right now. So, and NWA, I don't want to say. It's the something police. I can't repeat that. Anyway, I'm horrible. I don't really swear. I don't like swearing, but they're just full of it. Anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting.